welcome to the third week of our series, which is The Inner Wild Woman, aka The Inner Witch. Book, which is highly recommended, and it gives such like a historical view of it, and I love it. That's one thing I just loved about Rebecca Campbell with Rise Sister Rise. She has a lot of great books. You're a witch. What if that were a good thing? What if being a witch was not something to be accused of, rather a title we claim proudly? An acknowledgement that you draw your strength from deep within rather than an external source. That you know how to work with the powers of the earth and universe to manifest what you desire. What if it meant you were in touch with your feminine wisdom? That you owned your authentic power and were not afraid to show it? What if it meant you lived your life in deep reverence to and in flow with the cycles and rhythms of the moon, the tides, the seasons, nature, and life? Wise woman, wild woman, empowered woman. That you were interesting, opinionated, even, and unafraid of speaking your truth. That you believed there is magic inside you and every person too. That you believed in the power of ritual, the 4 elements, and your ability to be transformed. It is time that we reclaim witch and show that it is not something to be afraid of, not in a hipster trendy way, rather in a way that honors the potency of who you are and the women who so courageously paved this path before us, regardless of the consequences. Tapping into all of these different phases has helped me with each and every one of the other phases. Energy levels were ready to get things done during my maiden and mother phase. I didn't feel as guilty about taking the introverted time I needed during my inner wild woman phase or during my crone phase. Knowing that each one has its strengths. And yeah, we live in a society where we have to get things done and we have to do lists, and I'm not telling you to neglect your responsibilities. I'm just saying, like, in some ways where you could go easier, come into balance with it and work with these energies and to give yourself a lot of grace, and at the same time channel that energy in a positive way. This is extremely challenging, and I can attest to this. So the more that I have neglected this part of myself, the more ragey and fierce and cray-cray she gets. I recommend having a really good lady doctor. I recommend having a really good therapist. I recommend having a great support system to work through these things if you're really out of balance. Mental, emotional, spiritual, all the things, it's all important. I started working with these different archetypes with my cycle in order to harness that energy and make it work for me with my energy levels and with what I wanted to create and my natural flow as a woman. One thing that I started doing was paying attention to the fact that this stage in my cycle is the one that I rejected the most. This of the maiden, we have the goddess energy, right? We have the maiden, we have the mother, and we have the crone, and a lot of goddess archetypes are triple goddesses, right? But one thing that I've really noticed is the one that isn't spoken about coincidentally is the inner wild woman, the one right before your menstruation, the one that's in PMS, is the one that we have been suppressing. And also, she could also be referred to as your inner teenager, if you really think about it. Without getting too psychological, maybe you had a very healthy teenage years. You know, you were really able to explore that part of yourself. Or maybe you took on the mother archetype really young as a teenager and missed out on those years. Or maybe you were still in a maiden phase, right? There are all of these amazing things to contemplate with your cycle, and why maybe one of them you resonate with. Like, for example, I have friends who push through and get things done during that time. I want to retreat. I want to be alone. I want to be reflective. I want to go inward. And I think that's true for a lot of people during this cycle. But the most important thing is to talk to yourself when you're reflecting what works for you, in a sense of not just your physical body. We're so mind focused in our society, so it's like, accessing our higher mind, our higher self, coming into our heart space. What is our heart telling us? Body is like craving caffeine and fatty foods and things like that. That's pretty typical, right? When you're having all those hormones and things. But you can invite your inner mother in. I heard somewhere that teenagers are like houseplants. They don't really need a lot. They want to be left alone for the most part. They just need water and sunshine. And I feel like during your inner wild woman phase, you still need a little bit of a mother, right? You don't want to be treated like the maiden, but you still need a little bit of mothering. So that's the cool thing about these different phases, is that you can bring in the mother, you can bring in the maiden to help the mother lighten up, or you can bring in the inner wild woman to remind the mother, like, hey, put this stuff down for a minute and go do something for yourself that's fun. And invite the crone in, right, to help the maiden to feel supported. One thing I love is to bring in the inner mother to help with my inner wild woman, because left unhinged, there's a fire that just will keep growing, okay? And the mother tends to reel it in for me. She tends to say, whoa, girl, okay, you had 2 cups of coffee, we're cutting it off there and we're doubling up with water. You had a glass of wine, I think that's good. You do need to stop talking, because all you're doing is saying mean things, and you need to go take some time to yourself. That's what you need. You need some time to yourself. You need to read a book without anybody needing you, pulling on you, asking for anything, or you need to go soak in a bath, or you need to ecstatic dance, or you need to rage write a letter and then burn it safely. You want to use that energy. A wild woman can show us how to be authentic, set healthy boundaries, produce really awesome, raw, authentic work into the world. She's very intuitive and psychic, but the thing is, it's a little bit different than the crone, because we have all of the emotions that are murky that we need to sort through. If we're not grounded in that and releasing properly, that intuition can be, it's like we have a bullshit meter, basically, right? It's like we're just like, that's bullshit, and then like we feel like we need to check it, or we have a highly attuned, we're highly attuned to detail during that time. So it's funny because he was asking me, speaking of support system, let your partner know when you get to that 10-day countdown. Give yourself grace, give them grace. Know that every little thing is going to drive you crazy, and everything you say might have a little bit of to it, because you're just tired, right? You just want to like say it, you just want to, it's bubbling up, and like not all of it has to be said. Go journal and listen to yourself though. Listen to your needs, listen to your wants, and realize like, okay, it's not that I need to be going off on this person right now. I just need my feelings to be validated. So let me come back to my feelings matter, why this is making me upset, using your tools, getting back to what really matters to you. The inner wild woman can really access a part of yourself that stands up for you. For example, my inner maiden and my inner mother can really get like steamrolled. They're really sweet and they love to do a lot of things for people, but sometimes they don't they just, it's okay, and they take on more and they don't speak up or stand up, right? Because they just want like that connection and all that. So my inner wild woman realizes that, and she's like, oh hell no, I've had enough. And she sets boundary setting. Although I think it's a good time to reflect on what your boundaries are. You know, it's a little bit murky with emotion, so it's a good time to, you know, with your meditation, when you're going inward, if you're craving going inward, it's more about going inward to release, going inward to feel it, to heal it. It's going into the shadowy parts, some shadow work or some deeper inner work. It's not really the best time for clear perception. You know, I mean, we are attuned to detail during that time, and we are very intuitive, and we can call bullshit during that time. But it's like receiving that information, then like, what are you going to do with it? It's a good time to realize what we don't want, so that we can figure out what we do want, our wants and our needs. And it's a really great time to just sort of veg out, if you want to veg out in a healthy way. And during that time, I just give myself grace, and I allow myself to watch like I'm a very self-aware person. I do a lot of self-growth, but sometimes you just need something like basic, you know what I mean? You just want to feel grounded, and you just want to feel like watching Love Island, right? Something that just is mindless. Maybe for you, you don't want to do that. I don't know. Sometimes it's like self-care is breaking the rules with the inner wild woman. I feel like nature is a place I can go where I don't get annoyed during that time, because if I'm around too many people, I get annoyed. So like nature, being with Mother Nature can really soothe my nervous system, can soothe anxiety, can help me to release and to purify, which these are all good things to do during that time. So I've heard somewhere, you know, that this is a good time to just push through and maybe like work out and that kind of thing. And I get that to an extent, but I want you to really balance that energy out and listen within. Listen to that inner wild woman. Is that really what she's needing to push herself, or is she needing to retreat? Is she needing movement? And maybe what she needs is a cup of cleansing ginger tea and some yin yoga, and to journal everything out, and just 2 hours uninterrupted to do it. Maybe it's just a walk in the forest. I just get this feeling of like the smell of pine and like rich soil, and feeling grounded and purified and protected. So whatever that means to you, let's go ahead and go into a few goddesses that were coming to me. So number one is Hecate. Hecate was coming to me. She's been with me all week, and I realized why. It's because I was about to do this video. I have these beautiful runes. Oh my gosh, guys, these are so gorgeous. This woman makes them. Moon Street is her business. I believe she has an Etsy, but she makes these herself. There's epoxy, and she has different types. This is the Hecate. These are the Hecate runes, but she has a whole bunch, but this is like epoxy flowers. They're custom made, absolutely beautiful. Because I picked that one up, let's go ahead and get the message here. And there's this little graph here that you can use. Okay, so let's see what Hecate wants us to know here collectively. Wow, that is not what I was expecting at all, but I love it. So this one is friendship, society, and cooperation. Friendship, society, and cooperation. So one thing you could journal out is, what does my inner wild woman want me to know about friendship, society, and cooperation? How can I lean on my support system more so I can feel more balanced during this time? What can I do? What are 3 healthy steps I can take to cultivate a loving, supportive community? So these are some questions that you can ask yourself so you're not just doing it all alone and in the dark. So one thing about Hecate is she can traverse some really dark, murky waters, right? She can take you to the dark places within yourself if you're looking to do some shadow work. If you're, yeah, sign me up. No, just kidding. But anyway. Ah, goodness gracious. But honestly, it is really important for us to do this work. Otherwise, we're just going to project it out and it's going to come up and bubble up and be passive aggressive or aggressive, and nobody needs that. So she can illuminate your path, and she can illuminate maybe where you need to do some work inwardly. Wonderful to have with you to light your way while you're going through transitions. She's a, you know, she's a darker goddess, but I feel like that's why I was called to her this week, because this part of ourselves has been neglected for so long, and it's been, you know, we talk about like PMS like it's a curse, you know, men and women. We are like, oh no, she must be PMSing, or like, oh my gosh, she's PMSing, or oh, are you PMSing? You know what I mean? And it's just like, how can we, it's like a fire. I mean, fire is a beautiful element when it's contained, but it needs a container. How can we build that container of support for that fire to have a healthy flowing fire, right? It's a time where we can be really creative. We can create some really interesting art, unfiltered and a bit more, yeah, uncensored and real. You might want to listen to, I have like so many freaking playlists of like angry, sad girl music, and such a good way to feel catharsis for those deeper emotions that you can't quite articulate. And when you've had just like those days, that is a good time to listen to this music and allow yourself to, you know, like allow yourself to swim in it a bit. And I'm not saying stay there. Have a strong support system, but allow yourself to feel these deeper emotions. You know, it's, for so long, it's been really unpopular for women to be sad and angry. Those are anyone to be sad or angry. Honestly, it's like, oh no, don't be sad, don't be angry, don't cry, don't be mad. And all emotions just want to be felt, even the ones that are heavier. Ice cubes in a bathtub, that works really well. Some people scream in a pillow. That's never really done much good for me. It doesn't really satiate my demons. So for me, it's the cathartic playlists that helps me. Movement, and I'm talking like yin yoga, ecstatic dance. Ecstatic dance, I feel like healed my sacral energy. And I got pregnant like immediately after I started doing that. So I'm just saying, like, if you really want to heal that energy, that would be a great thing to do. A dormant energy that's just been suppressed for way too long, and it's such a good way to heal and move and get that energy and purify it and detox. And that's how I feel about yoga and just walking and nature. Salt baths are coming to me. Salt, just Epsom salt, even in the shower on your feet, that's great for purifying. Like sauna, I'm getting sauna. Make sure you're drinking lots of water to cleanse. Lemon, ginger, these type of things. So just let's really, you know, eat before we caffeinate today. Okay. And honey, you've been listening to that playlist. It's time to go to bed. You know, it's time to get some good sleep. Great that you're feeling your emotions, but let's get some sleep too. You know what I mean? Second goddess that I was really feeling was Mary Magdalene, another one that has been misunderstood that's coming back on the scene. So I'm using the Mystique Magdalene deck here. So I'm just going to pull a card. Okay. Wow. Salome's Destiny, Move On. So this is the card that I pulled. And let me just reflect a little bit on why we would pull that for this collective in this video. This could go hand in hand with some of your deeper shadow work or journaling. The moving on part is, what do you need to move on from? I'm not talking about running away from, because we're facing our demons here. What do we need to move on from that is not serving our highest good? Now, you don't have to move on from it in this moment. You don't have to, you know, quit your job tomorrow. I'm just saying, write about it. Listen within. And don't forget to listen to your heart and your body and your mind and your spirit. Good time to reflect on the lessons that you've learned, what you can take from the things you need to move on from, and bring that positivity into a new for you, and what you could take with you and what you just really need to leave behind. I think that's a good message. There's something about this card too. I'm not going to read the whole thing. She's said to be the next disciple of Mary, and we're talking about Mary Magdalene. And these teachings were taught from mother to daughter through all of these lineages through Europe, and some have said that has gone into the royal families and royal kings for these teachings. So I think it's important to access that part of us that is deeply rooted in our knowing as women and our ancestry. But Callie, the goddess Callie, oh my goodness, boy, is she unhinged. And let me tell you, she will allow you to move through all of those deeper, darker things. When I said ecstatic dance, you can invite her in when you do your yoga. You can invite her in with movement. You can invite her in to unabashedly feel that rage or sadness, and you can transform it. She really helps you with endings and beginnings. Callie, and they're both triple goddesses. And here we are talking about this fourth element, goddess archetypes here. And so I just thought that was interesting. And yeah, so she can really help you access that. What else that I wanted to talk about? Serpentine, you know, we were talking about our root energy, the Kundalini rising also helps you with your psychic abilities. But the cool thing about this is it helps you to stay calm and balance out any kind of emotional imbalances as well. So I really like the combination of that. I was drawn to Bloodstone because, you know, let's face it, we're dealing with a lot of that we're preparing ourselves for menstruation, so the bloodstone, I'm really connecting with that. It's a grounded way to feel into your emotions and reflect and build confidence and move into your goals and desires in a way that's grounding and balanced. Carnelian, great for sacral energy here, great for root work. But the carnelian it's a fiery stone, it's a passionate stone, it's a sexual healing stone. It is creative, it enhances your prowess and all of those things. But I think it's important because I want to access that part of ourselves that we tend to neglect. So I felt like it was important to have a stone like this in the mix of also balancing our emotions and staying grounded. So then we come to the shaman stone. The shaman stone just felt right. I mean, we're doing some deep work. You can do some really deep, cool stuff with this. You can do some journeying. You can do some dream journaling. You can do some psychic work. Shaman stone is great for shamanic healing, for shamanic work. It also balances your feminine and masculine energies, which is great for this time as well. And then the last one is so funny because I carried this with me and I thought like, okay, that's enough on the crystals, but it was like, nope, there's another one, and it's in your mojo bag that I carry, like a mojo bag of crystals with me everywhere, and this is one of them, and this is Jet. Jet is incredibly protective. It's also great for working through some really deep, dark stuff like grief or trauma, and it also protects you from creepy stuff like psychic attack, that sort of thing. So I like to have this on me all the time. That is pretty much a wrap. Have a wonderful day.